Hello and welcome to episode 104 of PubShorts titled Power to the People. My name is Dr. KK and I'm the Innovation Officer at Trinca and Inago. And the reason why we chose this song will be explained in a very lucid manner by Tony O'Rourke, who's smiling.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tony O'Rourke, and I'm VP for Partnerships here at Inago. We like to give every episode a title named after a song, and this episode is no different. This episode is called Power to the People because it references the debate around who gets to set the rules for AI in science, who has the power, as well as why it's necessary for researchers to use AI responsibly to maintain trust in science. So stories that we cover range from gatekeeping and safeguarding, trade-offs, to classification of AI, to publishers' use of new tools, and where that authority, where that power should sit with the people, with the researchers, with the publishers, with the societies.
Right. So, with that theme, let's jump to the first article, which is an artificial intelligence themed research paper published in Taylor and Francis's current medical research and opinion. CMRO is something that I used to follow back in the day when I used to practice. And anyway, so it is titled Enhanced Guidance on Artificial Intelligence for Medical Publication and Communication Professionals. So that's a lot of. So it highlights the importance of staying updated with AI advancements from a clinical point of view. So it advocates for training and education as crucial for integrating AI effectively, and it stresses on the responsible and transparent AI use. So I think, Tony, a couple of episodes ago, I mentioned that at least in the peer review Congress, I was surprised to find the clinical medical side of the research spectrum being more pro AI in terms of AI assistant, especially in the context
Yeah,
of peer review. And
yeah,
this is reflected in this as well. And the article also discusses the need for fair access and ethical use of AI tools, and authors need to approve the use of AI in content creation. And the disclosure, very important, the disclosure of AI use in publications is also necessary. And the risks of bias and misinformation from AI are also addressed as challenges in this paper. So overall, a very good roundup, but especially from the point of view of a clinical medicine point of view in the context of AI assistance. So your thoughts on it, considering our responsible AI movement as well.
Well, we've spoken about the responsible AI movement many times and the importance of transparency and guardrails for every stage of the research communication process. No, reading this article, the only thing I was thinking was, and also mirroring your comments about how receptive and how positive clinical professionals are in the use of AI, is what is the medical training program of the future going to look like? You know, what skills does the doctor that's going to be in practice 10 years time, that's going to be learning, starting their training next year or the year after, what skills do they need to have? What are the different skills that maybe their predecessors didn't have?
Right.
So it'd be fascinating to see how medical teaching is going to change. I'd love to see that, and love to be able to see how that's going to change over the next 5 years.
And I have some interesting insights. So, I did my medical education about 25 years ago, and I did my graduation from Kerala, Trivandrum Medical College, one of the sort of educational, from the context of medical education, one of the better ones. And there was very little being taught in the curriculum in terms of how one should use at that point in time literature survey tools, including how to use Google Scholar and to do systematic searches and everything.
Yeah,
There's very
yeah.
little covered. So there was less education as in terms of what I would like in terms
So
of how.
information literacy.
Yeah, so that was not there, but it got worse in my post graduation in Bombay, and so at least in India, at least 25 years ago, things were very limited in terms of literacy in the context of conducting research, and AI literacy is now even more important in the sense that all, I guess, medical practitioners, medical students need to be taught how to use AI responsibility. And this call to action is very important and very interesting. Stay up to date with AI advancements. Recognize that AI is revolutionizing scientific communication. All ISMPP members are encouraged to improve AI literacy, understanding its potential and associated risks, and engage with ISMPP AI education and training. So ISMPP obviously is leading the AI literacy aspect in the field of medicine. But I think
For those of you that don't know, ISMPP is the International Society for Medical Publishing Professionals, I think
Yep.
it's called.
Right.
Yes.
So this sort of call to action should also be there across the research fields. That is the main sort of point for responsible AI movement as well. So we've already discussed it. Any further thoughts on it, Tony?
No,
Yeah.
I'm fascinated to see how the skills that a doctor going into the profession for the first time is going to have to develop.
Right. Moving on to the next story. Nature's reviews chemistry comment: do not let generative AI shape how we see chemistry. The key word here is see. So this comment discusses the risks of using generative AI in chemistry in terms of creating molecular images. AI generated images often contain scientific inaccuracies, misleading learners, and distorting scientific reports. We know that generative AI is not quite good at least at the level of science imagery. Misrepresentations can erode trust and scientific accuracy and rigor. And so, while AI is useful in many fields, its current application in chemistry visuals is problematic. And the author suggests banning the use of generative AI for chemical images until it becomes more reliable. And Nature has decided not to publish AI generated images unless the content is specifically about AI. This is across research spectrum. So interesting. It's probably a little harsh, but what I believe is that AI is good only. Generative AI is good at generating images that support research, and not, I mean, in the sense like infographics and stuff like that, not for, let's say, generating images of, let's say, chemical bodies or even any other protein imagery or whatever it might be. So your thoughts on it?
But I think it's just, isn't it just a matter of time? I think nature is correct in its position in terms of banning its use for the moment, or at least the publication, until such a point that the accuracy is improved. I suppose my question is, how do we track that? How do we reach a point where somebody can say, okay, we are now at a stage where the accuracy is at the level we require for it to be included?
Right. Well, we'll keep an eye on this story. In the sense, generating images is something I think AI still need to catch up as opposed to generating text. So let's see. So moving
Yeah.
on to the next one: risks of AI scientists. Risks of, say, this is another communications article perspective. Risks of AI scientists prioritizing safeguarding over autonomy. So we are talking about AI scientists in the context of AI systems that are conducting science. So that is the it's not a brand. So wait, hold on, let me so these AI scientists are good at experiments but come with the risks that need attention. The article highlights vulnerabilities and suggests safety measures. A triadic framework is proposed, which is human regulation, agent alignment, and environmental feedback. And there's a call for better models, benchmarks, and regulations. So one thing that I noted here is that there's an obvious mention of AI agents, which we covered in the last episode, as to
Yeah.
how they can be perceived.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
is interesting, and it is also I felt disheartened in the sense that AI scientists, I mean, there are situations where AI can play a role of a scientist with obviously only with human oversight, and I think that potential should not be ignored because of the potential risk. Because if there is human oversight, then obviously the research can be accelerated because of such AI scientists. So your thoughts on it, Tony?
Um, so many of these articles kind of lead us back to the importance of human guardrails. I mean, again, we are still in I won't call it an experimental phase, but it does feel like the Wild West in certain occasions. There isn't the level of regulations that maybe you'd expect, or the kind of guidelines or frameworks in place for research to be conducted at a consistent level, in a consistent manner. And I think it's absolutely correct to prioritize safeguarding over autonomy. I do think, however, that as we move forward, these AI scientists will be given more autonomy, more freedom to be able to act and think and experiment and theorize in their own capacity.
We'll see how things evolve in the context of AI scientists as part of research projects itself. Now, we are moving on to a couple of articles. I think the first one, hold on. The first one it's a guest post classifying AI use in manuscript preparation, a recommendation. So this is a very interesting thing. This sort of flew under the radar. So Tony, a few months ago, I think in late April, we discussed the STM Association's draft recommendations for classifications of AI use.
Yeah.
So they, the association sought feedback from the industry, and they received it, and they have now finalized the classification. And this is summarized in this document, the actual list I'm sorry, the actual document is also linked in the article. This is from the Scholarly Kitchen. So the main thing is obviously the classification, different types, like correction, editing, as opposed to writing and drafting using generative AI, and all the way up to data generation of, synthetic data creation and all of that. All of this is listed, and what are examples and how such an activity can be described is listed in the documentation. Now, one thing
Yeah.
that the document itself. Let me see if I can open. Hold on. That's I wanted to talk about it. Yes, this. So one thing that it specifies is that it is not comprehensive. It does not. It limits itself to some. So this classification does not aim to provide an unambiguous definition of AI. It does not aim to classify AI uses in all research processes, only for research manuscript creation, and it also does not recommend or harmonize publisher policies around any use and or declaration of the use of AI. So that's an interesting thing. However, what does it do? These are the recommendations. So whatever recommendations that we've talked about in terms of there needs to be some sort of consistency in terms of classifying AI assistants, as well as what kind of disclosures that one should do, which is what we are also advocating as part of our responsible AI movement. I found it to be in the sense the fact that the STM association is stating that they do not aim to harmonize publisher policies was a disappointing aspect for me, in the sense that that is what I would like from an author point of view, from a researcher point of view, the STM association to at least advocate. So your thoughts on it?
I suppose. Listen, first of all, I think back when we first talked about this at the time, I applauded STM for its efforts in trying to categorize its various uses, and I think it's correct to do so. But it's also has to be practical. It knows that AI is going to be used in different ways in different subject areas. How it's used in clinical medicine is going to be very different from how it might be used in economics or social sciences or in humanities. So it can't possibly make a set of recommendations that will be valid for every single subject discipline. But for those areas that are perhaps most high profile, like science, the hard sciences, medicine, clinical sciences, life sciences, I think they've put together a very, very valuable set of very, very valuable classification system.
Right. And
listen, this is a trade association made up with
mm.
experts in the field of scientific publishing and research publishing. So they've got plenty of credibility in my mind.
No, credibility is not what I'm questioning. I mean, I'll ask you to sort of expound on the responsible AI movement itself. But before I do that, the one thing that I'm very happy with is that there are other taxonomy classification systems in vogue, including the guided taxonomy that we discussed in a few episodes before, and the Kangaroo project. And I came to know about this initiative by the Chinese National Knowledge Institute, CNKI, which I am
Yeah,
not too familiar with, regarding AI assistance classification as well. So there are many efforts, and I'm happy that all classifications can at least acknowledge the presence of the others. So let's go back to the responsible AI movement question, Tony. So in the sense that one of the things that we would like from a researcher point of view, we are advocating for the researchers, especially from Japan, China, and South Korea, where we have a lot of our clients as well. So their voice needs to be heard, and one of the things that they have as a sort of an issue in the context of AI assistance is that they do not know what is allowed and what is not allowed, and how they should declare what they have done. So nobody wants to have their paper rejected on the basis of some AI assistance, which is perfectly valid in particular context. So from
yeah,
that point of view, we are advocating that publishers need to consider what they are stating in terms of AI assistance guidelines
yeah,
on their websites, and to
yeah.
provide clarity and updates as and when required. So could you expand more on that and what you've heard from the publishers so far?
Yeah, no, every publisher I can't think of a single publisher doesn't at least have one line in their submission guidelines that says, so please declare the use of AI within your submission, in your maybe in a covering letter or somehow. Where and we've talked about this before, where there's a difference is that some publishers are more granular in their, or have an expectation for greater granularity than others in terms of not just specifying where it's used, but for or whether it's been used, but specifically which tools have been used and where and why. So my advice to a researcher is, regardless of what the publisher says. I mean, obviously, read the publisher guidelines first. Make sure that as a bare minimum you're adhering to. But be as granular as you can. Be as open and as granular and transparent as you can in terms of how you've used AI, where AI has been used, because that will give you, or at least that'll give the publisher a greater understanding of how the content has been generated in the first place. Confidence that this is an original piece of research. And ultimately that it's something which they can associate their journal brand with, because it's not just purely been generated by AI. There's been some human intervention as part of the process. Be as granular as possible. But if you any questions at all, why don't you just come over to the Inago site, search for the Responsible AI Movement, and see some of the recommendations that we are suggesting, both to publishers and to research organizations, and importantly to researchers.
Excellent. Thank you for explaining all of that. So you can find more information on our website regarding responsible AI. Please feel free to search. And if you have any questions, please reach out to either Tony or me, and we would like to help you understanding it better. Yeah. All right. So a couple of more main stories. The first one from Silverchair, the coming inflection point, AI as a science gatekeeper. So Stuart Leach, if I'm not, is that the right pronunciation? The CTO.
Leach, yes,
Leach, wrote about AI's role in scientific publishing. So AI could soon be, his arguments are that AI could soon be the main decision maker in science, acting as a gatekeeper. So he also advocates for transparency in AI orchestration. Again, we are talking more and more agents. Orchestration is a term that is associated with agents and AI tools to ensure that the goal is eventually achieved in the most efficient, accurate manner. And Silverchair advocates, Tony, for transparent AI processes to improve scholarly publishing, and the company emphasizes collaboration with publishers for better AI integrations. And so I was happy to sort of read some of the words from Stuart. Your thoughts on it? You've experience working with Silverchair, and
I've not worked particularly. I've had engagement with people from Silverchair, and I obviously understand their products, what they do. But Silverchair is a very technology-led organization, technology-driven organization, quite pioneering in some of their approaches. Stuart Leach is their CTO, so he's probably in the most technologically pioneering role within that organization. So he's setting the scene, and I think he's right to be able to imagine a future where the technology is playing a much more significant decision-making role than it is currently.
Yeah,
there has to be that kind of future thinking.
Yeah, so in this case, a path forward is for the scientific community to come together and to establish norms, and these are some of the things that Stuart is talking about: implementation, transparency, basically explainability and everything, orchestration standards, I think protocols being used, and the amount of community contribution, as well as governance frameworks, which is again brings us back to responsible AI.
Absolutely.
And ethical use of AI guardrails, etc. All right, moving on to the next one. It's another story. I think you might have suggested this story. I don't remember if it came from you, but Elsevier is apparently working on a new AI solution for researchers. The tool aims to enhance research workflows and efficiency, and it will help scientists move from insights to actionable outcomes. So that's a lot of like what read as a marketing sort of a document. So the focus is on maintaining research integrity and trust, and the tool will assist in identifying new research areas and finding funding. That's a lot of things. And to be fair, Tony, I mean, there are more things written about the tool, but I'm still not quite sure what exactly the tool is, and I do not think that they have linked to it. So I think it's an early sort of a press release kind of an article, and we cannot experiment with this. But I'm very happy for the researchers. Elsevier's tools like Scopus and Science Direct AI have been very good, and people use it quite a lot. And I'm excited to see what the new offering is from Elsevier in the context of research. Your thoughts?
Yeah, and also I think we have to bear in mind that very large publishers like Elsevier aren't just republishing research articles. What they're doing is they're providing resources that support, many different stages in the research process and research communication, and in the research process itself. I think back to something like Clinical Key, which they launched, 10 plus years ago, as a decision support tool for doctors. That's not just reproducing content, that's actually providing intelligent summaries. So they've always been very forward thinking, I think, in terms of their role in supporting the research workflow. And I think this is just an example of another step in that direction of wanting to lead the way for sort of how established publishers of that kind of scale can support different aspects of the research workflow.
Right, ready for quick hits? I hope you are. Tony, Nature, news story: Harvard versus Trump. Millions in grant money being begin trickling back to scientists. So, in a nutshell, so there was the government, the Trump administration has, I guess, cancelled funding from NIH and NSF to Harvard, and there was a legal ruling which sort of reversed it, and now Harvard is able to get NSF funds, but not yet NIH funds, and Trump is already the Trump administration is planning to appeal against the court's decision, and we are yet to see. So this is a positive development, but not completely positive. Any thoughts? Any things to add here?
Um, no, I have to be careful what I say here because I'd like to be able to travel to the US on business. Um, I am, although this is a good step, but I am concerned about the state of that research ecosystem in the US at the moment. The way funding is going between NIH and
Right.
the research community. Yeah, I mean it's and you can see how other countries seem to be sort of benefiting from this. How Europe, how China, how other markets are benefiting from researchers leaving the US in order to maintain and continue their research careers.
Right. And in a sort of related story, we have a news story from Nature. Three ways the ex CDC chief says that Trump team is sidelining science. So this is from, I forget what is the name, Monares. Anyway,
Susan
so
Monares.
yeah, yeah. So Susan claims Trump administration sideline scientific integrity at the CDC. So Susan was fired for refusing to approve decisions lacking scientific backing, and she opposed changes to vaccine schedules without proper data, and political appointees replace these advisors who question vaccine safety. And eventually, there are still controversial stories related to RFK Jr. and vaccine related ones, including, I guess, Tony, you might have read about the Tylenol, the main ingredient in Tylenol, acetaminophen, which is scientifically not proven to cause any autism, has been the Trump administration is looking to withdraw the drug, and because of these claims of. So there are many controversial scientific integrity, research integrity related things happening in the context of especially health and medicine.
Mm.
It continues to happen. I mean, it's apart from the funding related things happening. So it's quite worrisome. But again, we've talked. I think we've used the term dystopia in the context of what we are seeing with the U.S. research. Any further thoughts on it? Keeping in mind that you still want your travel freedom.
Um, no.
All
No,
right.
I just like to see things settling down, and for good research to be identified and supported in the way that the rest of the world thinks it should be.
All right, moving on to the last quick hit. This one is a very interesting story. It is from The Verge, a global call for AI red lines. Very interesting terminology. Sounds the alarm about the lack of international AI policy. So,
Yeah,
this is a global call for AI guardrails, which is termed as red lines, and more than 200 former leaders of state, diplomats, etc. They've come together to and signed this call. They want international rules on AI boundaries or AI guardrails, I guess, by the end of 2026. And some of the key figures include Jeffrey Hinton, an OpenAI co-founder. Okay, I'm not going to be able to read the pronunciation. There was an
Wojciech Zaremba.
yeah, yeah, okay. This initiative is ahead of the 80th US UN General Assembly, and there's a push to prevent AI from impersonating humans and self-replicating. Some regions, like the EU, you are familiar with it, I suppose, Tony,
Yeah,
already
yeah,
have AI rules and regulations, and they are the
yeah,
gold standard. But
yeah.
there's no global agreement yet, and there is a need for it. And this is again in line with the use of responsible use of AI as well. So, any further thought on this?
I think again, it's interesting that it's coming from a geopolitical rather from a scientific perspective. Um, but it just reinforces the need for human guardrails and the importance of the general public being able to trust in the technology. And and if governments can't do this, then who can? I think they're absolutely right to do this. I mean, this is kind of the I won't say battlefield, but this is kind of the playing field that we're all operating on now, and there need to be rules in place and structures in place to be able to support how we operate within those frameworks.
Well, we'll wait to see what happens, or how this story evolves, and we would like more AI guardrails being in place. So
Yeah,
that brings
I
us
think
to
everyone would. It's common sense.
Yes, 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 it is indeed. So we are at the end of episode 104 of PubShorts, Power to the People. Tony, if somebody wants to find all the 103 episodes, where can they do it?
Well, sure, if you've got a couple of days, nearly a week free, I suppose now. All the previous episodes of Pub Shorts was on. We have a playlist on YouTube. Just search for the Inago Pub Shorts playlist, and you'll see all previous 103 episodes there. This one will be up very soon. If you'd like to give us any ideas or suggestions for future topics, please feel free to share those in the comments or press the like button so we can make sure you're kept up to date with any new episodes that come up, and share with your colleagues.
Excellent, excellent. Tony, any interesting musical stuff, musical
Oh
news happening
yeah,
in your life? Yeah.
we were talking about this actually before we started recording this episode. Yeah, I'm delighted. I've actually been able to get tickets to go and see System of a Down next year.
Wow.
They're playing in London, doing one show. They're doing about, I think, a dozen shows, maybe less, in Europe next year. And they are one of my bucket list bands. Bands I'd love to go and see. I've never seen them before. And one of the supporting acts is Queens of the Stone Age, who are also
Wow.
one of the bucket list bands. So I'm
Yeah.
really, really excited. They weren't cheap,
Mm.
don't mind, but they were. I didn't hesitate. I did. I should have been as excited when I was trying to get Black Sabbath tickets and failed. But no, I'm really looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to your experience being at the System of a Down and Queens of the Stone
I'll
Age
tell you
concert.
next
Yeah.
June. Next June.
Yeah,
No,
probably.
Next July.
Yeah, probably in our 200th episode or something like that. But we'll have
It will
to
be.
we'll have to wait until that, and until the next episode. That is. This is Dr. KK signing off. Bye, Tony. We'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.
See you next one. Bye bye.